All right, so next and last for the Grace Hopper projects, we have a tool that I, as a writer, desperately want. There is like no good way to collect all of the pieces of a book that isn't into some desktop application that I don't trust anymore. I don't trust things that aren't in the cloud. So without further ado, here is CollaboWrite.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Kate Caldwell, and I'm joined by my teammates Erin Choi, Sarah Herr, and Jody Lee. Together, we are the engineers behind CollaboWrite. A large-scale writing project can be difficult to manage because on the one hand, you need to organize it and keep notes of your progress at all levels of the project, but you also need to be able to share your work so that you can incorporate feedback in new drafts. As someone with a background in fiction writing, I would often find myself building out the structure of a novel I was drafting in a desktop app, such as Scrivener, and then copy-pasting everything into Google Docs when it was time to share my progress with the people in my workshop and gather feedback. This gap in functionality is why we built CollaboWrite, a web app that hosts complex projects and allows you to share them to gather feedback and collaborate with others. We even use this app to collaboratively write the demo day presentation that we're giving today. So let's dive in and take a look at our demo day project. Erin will walk us through the collaborative features of our app.
Thank you, Kate. So one of the most pivotal features of our application is the collaborative aspect. We're able to add multiple collaborators to the same literary project. And once you have these collaborators, you can chat with the other collaborators on your project and also update a part of the project while other collaborators are updating different parts of the project in real time. So when we first built CollaboWrite, we started with a PostgreSQL, SQLize, Express, and React Redux. But due to the collaborative nature of our application, we wanted to make sure that we could render multiple real-time updates from many different users. And we recognized that this framework, instead of using this framework, there was a more efficient framework that we could use. So we restructured our entire application to use React with Firebase, which listens for server-side events, such as changes made by our multiple collaborators, and this facilitates real-time updates to render on our front end. It also allowed us to build a more flexible database structure. Next, Sarah will walk us through our binder components.
Thanks, Erin. A major feature of our app is our file system. Each project has a binder where you can expand, collapse, add, remove, and select a file or folder. At first, our front-end data structure mirrored our back-end structure. This caused problems re-rendering the binder when adding and removing a file. We decided to implement a recursive list component that rendered a new list when the parent folder is expanded. We learned that your data structure can really help or hinder your project. Also, just because your data is structured one way on the front end doesn't mean you have to represent it that way on the back end. And now Jody's going to talk about the comparison view.
Thanks, Sarah. So one really interesting feature of our app is the ability to save and compare different drafts of your project. In the comparison view, the changes that you made are highlighted so you can clearly see the differences between your drafts. You can also edit directly in the comparison view and watch your old drafts transform as you write. This feature is inspired by things like track changes in Microsoft Word, as well as the way that GitHub allows you to view diffs between branches. Some of the features we'd like to implement next include the ability to drag and drop to seamlessly organize your binder, an overview that compiles your entire project to be viewed as a whole, full text search, and the ability for collaborators to make inline comments. In conclusion, we've learned so much from working on this project together, not only about the different technologies that we used, but also about the trade-offs that are inevitable in the development process. We invite you all to check out CollaboWrite at collaborateapp.com, and also feel free to check our code on GitHub. Thank you for listening.
Wow, they did my favorite thing, which is making their presentation in their app. I think
love that.
that is
Love
so
that.
cool. And I think it's a great tool. I mean, I know, like, when I do creative endeavors now as a programmer, you want to use tools like Get. It's like seems so obvious for work that we don't get in PowerPoint, Word, all that stuff. So I think tools like this, especially Scrivener in the cloud with collaboration, it's definitely cutting edge. Yeah.
You can't send a link to your writing workshop being like, hey, just pull this Git repo.
Yeah, exactly. Git is not the right tool, but something like along those those power tools.
Yeah.
It was a great presentation as well.